Hey, this is JD Frost. Welcome to the Daily Ledger podcast. I have a really special guest today. Maggie Berghoff is on here. We got to meet we met in Puerto Rico this past April, and we were there for the Guardians X retreat and got to meet her as we were getting ready to get on the boat, right? If I'm remembering correctly, as we were rushing to get onto the boat.
Yeah, I think we were one of the last people to make the ride to the island.
Yes, exactly. So we got on there, and that's what's awesome about going to these kinds of events is you get to meet people randomly, and Maggie and I were able to have a really brief conversation there. And then honestly, Maggie, I've been following you since then on Instagram. I don't remember your handle. What's that handle?
Yeah, Maggie_Berghoff.
Maggie_Berghoff, and been following you ever since. And like, your life looks amazing. And your businesses that you're doing look awesome. And I know that you've got like a wellness and fitness business, and you have a marketing company as well, helping people probably, I would imagine, building their personal brands. And hopefully we'll get into that as well. But I just want to congratulate you and tell you thank you for what you're doing. Because it sounds like and seems like that you're affecting a lot of people's lives. And that's awesome. So welcome to the Daily Ledger podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to touch base.
Excellent. Well, one of the, I've got a few certain questions that I ask. We're going to kind of jump right into it, Maggie. So one of the few questions that I ask each person that comes on the Daily Ledger podcast is, walk us through your entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, I got super sick when I was in my young 20s. I was failed by a traditional medical system, which is what I was doing at the time as a nurse practitioner. Dove me into learning more about how to heal my body, did it, created a whole company around that, helping other people as well. And then from there, got real good at marketing and opened a second company in the business and marketing space.
What do you think got you really good at marketing? What was kind of where you were like, man, I got the hang of this?
Yeah, looking back, I think a little bit of it was pretty natural. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur, but looking back now that I am an entrepreneur, I've always kind of had it in me, ever since I was a little kid, just my personality traits and how I always like to do things differently than other people. But then what happened is I got kind of stuck in like the model that everybody wanted you to be in. So, I just kept getting good grades and going to the best schools and getting all the degrees and then working for the hospital and just kind of got stuck in this routine. And I learned marketing really well because when I quit my nurse practitioner job and opened my first company, I had not a clue what I was doing. I had no social media. I had no knowledge around tech or online business or business at all. Marketing, this whole world was brand new to me. And so I had a big mission. I wanted to help a lot of people get really well and healthy around the world. And so I just slowly but surely started to learn how to market so that I could reach and impact more people.
And based off of that, what do you think is the best way for people to be marketing right now? What's the best way for them to connect, to attract, promote their business?
I use a 3-tiered system in our marketing agency. So we use social media, mainstream media, and strategic partnerships, and it works like gold. I think that you really need the combination of all three. Social media is organic, free reach. It's amazing. It's the biggest opportunity ever. I mean, if you're not on social and you have a business, I feel like you are just missing out. And then mainstream media builds credibility and authority in your space. So this really, really helps people who meet you online to trust you, to know that, you have this business and whatnot. It brings awareness to your brand. And then strategic partnerships is phenomenal because it allows you to kind of skip a bunch of steps by getting in front of other people's audiences that they've spent years and resources and time building. And then since they've already built that audience, they automatically trust you more because you've been presented in front of them. So I think the combination of those three is just so golden for anybody growing their business online.
Yeah. What do you say to, I love what you're saying there about social media, how, you're missing out on an opportunity. Those people that have businesses, I'm involved in a business like this, that are like, oh, well, my business is different. Like social media is not going to help, isn't going to help me.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to those people?
No business is different. Like everybody thinks that they're so special, like their situation is different or their situation is unique. It's not. The fact of the matter is that if you get on social media, it will help your business because you never know who may see you. And even if you have a local company, even if you're not online, your local company can build awareness around the company. It can spread the word. Say somebody, sees your content from New York and they have a cousin in your local town. And all of a sudden they're telling your cousin about your company because they saw you on social media. And then the opportunities are so large. So getting things like a book deal, speaking events, product development, brand partnerships, all these opportunities, or even just meeting a great friend in this space. I mean,
Right.
I think whether you're a lawyer or a coach or a doctor or whatever it is, every single business will improve by being online and being on social media.
Yeah, and I think too, I love all those things that you touch on, but the biggest thing that I've seen from social media is most people think like, well, I'm going to have a website or I'm going to do marketing in order to get customers, and that's the whole point. Well, yeah, I mean, of course you want it to create revenue, but the amount of awareness that you get, not only with your customers, but your suppliers, your strategic partners, like you were talking about, just exponentially grows, even, finding new employees. I mean, I think that's helped us a lot in our business, is not only social media just to show what we're doing, but show how we're doing it, who we're doing it with, what the typical day is like here. It speaks volumes, and it really helps to reach a large number of people to help your business grow one way or the other.
That's a great point, is team growth. We have a lot of our hires come from social media. And even right now on my tasks to do from the team, it's to make a post about this new hire that we have. And we have found that our best qualified hires and our best, motivated people on our team, they come from our social following because they've already been following along. They kind of know the business, they know you, and they're really excited for that opportunity versus sifting through hundreds of random applications on some site that no one even has heard of you or your business. It's a great opportunity for team build as well.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. I love those three things that you're talking about, and growing your brand and marketing. This is a Daily Ledger podcast, so we're talking about daily things, right? jdfrost.today. So I'm very focused on the present and right now. So one thing I'm curious of all my guests is, what is your daily routine like? What does it look like?
Yeah, so mine is there's not much of a daily routine right now, which is incredible to hear from a functional medicine practitioner, right? But I'm a mom of three. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So as much as I'd love to have the perfect structured routine, that doesn't exist in my life anymore. And actually, I'm very proud of myself for allowing that flexibility and that ability to pivot, because in my old life, I would definitely feel anxiety or just want to only work or do whatever and have my perfect routine. Doesn't exist for me. So usually, honestly, I'm waking up with the kids. One of them probably woke up at 4 o'clock from a bad dream or crawled into the bed or whatever it is. And usually in a normal life, I get them ready. They do go to school during the day or whatever. And then when they're gone from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock, those are more of my working hours. Or if I'm not working on the business, those are my me hours. Maybe I'm going to get a massage or hang out with my husband or go take a walk or whatever it is from 11 to 3. Then the kids usually come home at 3 and we hang out as a family. And then sometimes, depending on the season of my business at that moment, sometimes I will work a little bit in the evening time, like when after they go to bed, work for a couple hours. It is not ideal, but that's the season of life that I'm in right now. So it's messy, it's a little bit chaotic, but it's so enjoyable. And that's how I kind of find balance in my life, is just being able to do what I can when I can and enjoy the process.
Yeah, I mean, with kids that age, it's really hard to have any kind of routine. I think if you're having chunks of time just like that, like, hey, we all get up, like that's it might not be the same way every time.
Or we get into a routine and then one of the kids gets sick for 3 days, right? Or whatever it is. So it's hard to maintain a full routine at this stage in my life.
Yeah. That's good. I appreciate that. What are some of the biggest adversities that you've had to overcome?
Well, my health challenge, when I was in my young 20s, I'm glad that it happened because it led me to where I am today. I'm an absolute better person, but that was the most challenging part of my life that I've ever experienced, because up until my health crash, which by the way, I had a mini stroke when I was 24 years old. I was diagnosed with all sorts of things like kidney disease and autoimmune disease and just all this, PCOS, Hashimoto's, a lot of things that seemed pretty scary to me at the time. And it was the first really huge challenge that I faced in my life. And prior to that, I was very healthy. I appeared healthy. I felt healthy. I did have a routine at that time, gym every single day, all this kind of stuff. And so it was hard because I felt really hopeless and helpless, because after going to doctor appointment after doctor appointment after doctor appointment, seeing all these specialists, every single one of them told me there was nothing they could do. And that sucked. And so that was the hardest thing I've had to do, is just to take a deep breath and bawl my eyes out. I remember specifically after one appointment with my doctor, and this guy, every single time I would go to a new doctor, I'd get my hopes up again. I'd be like, they're the one, they're the best, they're going to heal me. And I would just hope that they would even just find cancer or something, because then at least we would know what was going on. And I went there and I left, and he told me like, he doesn't have a clue, and he's the best specialist in this area. And I'm just going to have to be on IV immunoglobulins the rest of my life and medications. And I just remember bawling my eyes out. I called my mom, I hung up, and then I just said to myself, I'm the only one who cares enough about me to heal me, and I'm going to do this myself. And that's seriously what led me down this entire path of healing my body and then building this whole life of entrepreneurship and helping other people.
And I mean, when you started to heal yourself, I mean, what did you, can you tell me more about how you actually did that?
Yeah, so I went back to school. I graduated as a nurse practitioner first from Vanderbilt University. And then I went back to school to specialize in what's called functional medicine and integrative medicine. So I really focused less so on pharmaceuticals and the diagnoses that I was given, and more so on holistically, naturally healing my mind, my body, my stress levels, the nutrition, how I was nourishing my body, my daily activities. I slowed way down. I'm a very, high performing type of person, and I was doing a lot at that time. And so I really just took some things off of my plate to heal my body. And most of it came down to three things. It was number one, my mindset around food, not even really what I was eating. It was my mindset around food. Instead of doing yo-yo dieting or restrictions or even, workout plan diets, I just focused on nourishing my body. Like, what can I add to my life to just blast my body with nutrients and antioxidants and all the goodness? So that was number one.
Not trying to deprive yourself of something.
No deprivation at all.
Yeah.
And if you want to have the brownies, have the brownies. I don't care. I just want like your mindset around the brownies. And this was my problem, is I would feel guilty, or like I need to go to the gym, or I need to make up for it. That causes more damage than the brownie itself.
Right.
For sure. That's stress around that. So it's one of the main areas that I focused on. I also really got into non-toxic living. So got super dramatic, threw away all of my chemical filled like household products and makeup and hygiene, and I replaced it all with more natural, non-toxic items, is another huge thing. And then I got specialty functional medicine labs on myself, because and this is what I do in my practice, but there are a lot of labs in the traditional medicine model that don't really show what's going on in the body. And some people like me, my labs were normal at first. Eventually they got abnormal because I got ignored for a while I was crying for help. But when I first started feeling very sick, I knew something was wrong, but my labs showed everything was normal. So the doctors just said, you're normal, you're fine. Take this for your symptoms. And so I got more functional medicine labs on myself that showed me exactly what was going on in my body so I could fix it. If you just know what's going on, it's easier to follow a blueprint to fix it. So those are the main areas of what I focused on to heal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how you said when you were talking about waiting on some kind of diagnosis, you're like, just tell me that it's like cancer or something, like just give me some kind of how much the unknown just kind of freezes us sometimes. I'm not saying that about you at that particular time. I'm saying that for me, that like I just get lost in this thought sometimes of, man, what's going to happen? And I would almost like want maybe an even worse thing to happen just so I knew.
Yeah.
That's got to be a difficult situation.
Yeah. You just want to know what it is, because then you can start to fix it or address it or whatever it is. But it's that uncertainty that is
Mhm.
really difficult in health and business and family and relate in anything. It's that
Mhm.
like middle ground of the uncertain times.
And so when you're in those uncertain times, how do you create certainty in uncertain times? How do you do that?
Well, I personally believe strongly that everything happens for a reason, which definitely helps me through situations. So if something's not going my way, or if, something really bad happens like that, I always really try to find the lesson in it and know that it's just a part of my story. This is
Mm,
just a part of my journey, just a part of my story. I'm becoming stronger for this. I definitely find the lessons in it, and I give myself grace through the situation. So I'm
mhm.
always focusing on the positive side of things versus stewing in the negative and, having that victim, poor me type of mindset. I'm really focused on positivity and gratitude always. And that really gets me through.
And when you're talking about that you have this element of that everything happens for a reason, is that because of your faith? Is that because of religious beliefs? Is that where does that come from?
I don't think it's religion. I just feel maybe it is, but I just feel very strongly, like with everything in me, that everything really does happen for a reason. And that no
Gotcha.
matter what path that you take, it's all going to work out just fine. And I used
Yeah.
to stress a lot about things, which is kind of what led me to get sick as well. I would just stress so much about decisions, like what school
Mm,
should I go to? Where should I live? Who should I be with? I mean, just so stressed over all these decisions that in reality, it doesn't matter what decision you make.
mm.
Because if you stay in indecisiveness, you will drive yourself nuts and be miserable. So just pick a decision, know that it's going to work out. And like if it wasn't supposed to be that decision, it'll lead you to whatever it's supposed to be. And just more so going with the flow and just trusting that it's all going to be great.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there about indecisiveness. I'm a pretty quick decision maker. Like I would rather make a wrong decision and figure it out rapidly and then go the other direction rather than being indecisive. And
Yeah.
I think that helps us as entrepreneurs a lot because those that actually don't actually accomplish what they want or figure out what they want, they're not making a decision.
Yeah.
It's
And I had to learn that. So I think that
yeah.
you can improve if you're indecisive right now, you can improve that because that's something that did not come naturally to me. I told you
Mm,
marketing kind of came naturally once I
right.
started like learning it. Indecisiveness, no, I was so indecisive. And now I like you, I'm pretty quick at making decisions because if you stay in that indecisive state, you're right, you're not going to make momentum. You're not going to build momentum forward,
Hmm.
and then you're stagnant. And when you're
Hmm.
stagnant, you're going backward. And so I really just encourage everybody to work toward making decisions in their life. Start somewhere simple, like, just when you're out ordering food out to eat, just make a decision and stick with it and order right away. Just little simple things that'll help to exercise that decisive muscle.
I love that. And I mean, even I think raising your awareness of like, wow, it's really taking, being vulnerable enough with yourself too to say, it's really taken me a long time to make a pretty quick decision about what to eat or what to do tomorrow or what exercise should I be doing or whatever it is.
Yeah, like it doesn't
Um,
really matter. Just do something, you know?
right. Yes. Yeah. I love that. Um, what would be the most important lesson that you've learned so far in your career?
Ooh, that my most important lesson that I've learned so far and that I'd love to relate to other people is that there will always be things to do in your career, always. And so what you need to do is make sure that what you're doing day to day aligns with what you say your values are. So there was a time in my career where I say my values are family and flexibility. And it was my husband who gently reminded me of this when I was working late at night, or I would be answering clients at like 9:30 on a Thursday night or whenever. Literally, I was like at their beck and call. And it was really hard for me to turn off work because I felt as if I owed something to these clients, which is, yes, I can help them, but it does not have to be 24/7 around the clock the second they text me or the second that they need something. So it was helpful for him to let me know that my actions were not reflecting what I say my values are. And like, let's
Hmm.
put the phone down and have dinner as a family or like enjoy our day at the lake. And so that was a big lesson for me, that you don't always have to be on, and having more of a structure around my business, even though I do work for myself and fully online, having a structure around that really, really helped with keeping those personal boundaries as well.
What would you say is the number one, when you're doing your coaching for clients? What would you say is the number one thing that they might be struggling with at the very beginning, that like you kind of see this trend with entrepreneurs as they're trying to start their business? What would that be?
It's deciding on what to do. Most of the clients, like the biggest struggle that our clients have when they're really struggling at the beginning, is because they can't think and decide on what idea to go with.
Mm,
And they stew in this for months and months and months. And they're like, I still don't know what my niche is. And it's frustrating for me as a coach, because I just want you to start. The clients that are skyrocketing, they're not worried about, did they make the wrong decision? They're just starting where they are, and they'll pivot and grow as they go.
mm.
So the biggest thing, number one, is that making a decision on what idea to grow with. And then the second thing is being on social media is very difficult for a lot of people. So if it's difficult for you, know that you're not alone. But I think focusing on social media as fun first is very helpful. It takes out a lot of the pressure. All you have to do is be yourself and have fun with it. And it just so happens to be an amazing opportunity to grow your business for free. So taking the pressure off, knowing that you don't have to do it 5 times a day, every day on all 6 platforms. Pick one platform, go all in on that, try to post every day. But if you don't, like, it's not the end of the world. So just keep on, putting one foot in front of the other, and you will grow.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there about social media and kind of keeping it simple. It's real easy to get into it and make it way more complicated than it really is.
Yeah. And a lot of times the simple content that a lot of times our clients are like, oh my gosh, it was this like 10-second video I just randomly did in my kitchen. I was just hanging out with my kids and decided to show the smoothie I was making or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's the one that went viral. And I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
real life.
Yeah.
People just want to see real life. So stop putting so much pressure trying to be somebody you're not. Just showcase what you're doing day to day. Maybe that's behind the scenes of your business, or what you seeing a client, sharing an idea that you had, whatever it is. Just share with the audience what you're doing day to day. And it's a very simple way to grow.
Yeah, it's real simple, and I love how those real life moments are the ones that get the most engagement. And it's like I'll shoot a video sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what was I even saying? And I'll get more engagement from that than anything else. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, people buy from people, and they want
Yeah.
to know you. They want to relate to you. They don't want there to be this big barrier between, the person that they might want to hire or follow or be inspired by and them,
And this is one of my favorite questions. What do people misunderstand about you the most?
Maybe what you were talking about at the beginning is my work ethic. I'm very hardworking. I'm very hardworking, and I do a lot of things. And a lot of people, they see me and they ask me all the time, like, how do you do it all? Oh my gosh, you must be just working 24/7. And I definitely don't. I don't even work full time, even now that I own 2 companies, and they're very scaled. And, I have a published book. I speak on stages. I travel the world. But what I do is I get super hyper focused on whatever I'm doing at that time, so I can zone in and be very efficient with limited hours. And so I think the big misunderstanding is that you have to grind it out and work 50 hours a week, whatever it is, in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. And that's absolutely not the truth. And that I always say, build your business around what you want your life to look like. And so currently my business is built around what I want my life to look like in this season. That might change in 3 years, but right now in this moment, this is what it looks like to me. And I think that that's a big misconception a lot of people have about growing your own company.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really establishing what you want out of your business is incredibly important. Like what you're saying, it could change over the next 3 years, and that's okay. And you might be building a different business in 3 years than you were right now. And
Yeah.
I love that. So the big misconception would be that you don't work much at all. or that you really are hardworking? It was, which one was that? There,
Oh, well,
you really are
I am
hardworking.
hardworking, but the big misconception is that I just work, like 50 hours a week, like all these other entrepreneurs that you see doing the big things that I'm doing. But it's not true. I'm doing those things, but in a way that is truly flexible and spending a lot of time with family and to myself and just prioritizing my own wellness in the process.
And so somebody listening to this podcast that wants to have a life like that, they need to be DMing you on Instagram or getting in touch with you somehow, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely doable for anybody. A lot of
Mhm.
times people will come into our space and they join our programs and they send us messages. You can see hundreds of testimonials. And a lot of times it's a similar theme. They say, I thought that it worked for you. I got it, yada, yada, but I didn't think it would work for me. And then
Right.
it does. It really does, because it's just a system and structure. And if you implement that system and structure into your own life and however, you can help somebody in any industry and niche, then you're able to grow your business online in that way.
Do you have a coach that you follow or a mentor that you follow?
So I have had actually pretty limited coaches in my time that are paid, but more so people who have inspired me along the way. One person, Jasmine Starr, really was an inspiration when I was starting social media. I grew my whole first company on Instagram, and I've never paid her, but she was very helpful in teaching me Instagram. And then most recently, I hired a fella, Tanner Chidester, to help me to expand our team, because I specifically wanted to expand the team. That has been my biggest challenge in business growth, is team growth. And so I specifically wanted to help and support in hiring team members, training them, getting the SOPs set, the KPIs, and really leadership and team hires. So I hired him and his team and his COO to help with that process a little over a year ago. That was my most recent with.
And that solved a pretty big problem of being able to identify team members.
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely the biggest challenge that I faced in my business growth, is team hires, who to hire, how to hire them. What should my expectations be for them, especially because we've been a fully virtual business since 2017. So it's all virtual. It's just, that has definitely been my most difficult or my most challenging aspect of business growth. And so I brought in the expert. I knew that this person had done it ahead of me, has a great solid team, really into tracking things and having SOPs. And so that was my most recent hire. Again, a little over a year ago, we did that.
That's awesome. And what you mentioned your book. Tell me about your book a little bit.
Yeah, I have a wellness book with Simon and Schuster. So on my functional medicine practice side of things, and it's all about inflammation. So it's about how to reduce inflammation in your life, in a modern day life, like not being perfect and like this, model example of wellness, but every single day, little things that you can do to reduce inflammation, because I believe strongly, and science shows, that when you lower inflammation, your body has more energy reserves and capacity to do what it's supposed to do and heal itself. So your body can detox better, regulate hormones better, regulate neurotransmitters better, sleep better when it has less inflammation going on that it's fighting. And so the whole book is about how to lower what I call your total toxic burden and your inflammatory levels in a modern everyday life so that you can feel your best.
That's awesome. When did you write that? When was it published?
It was published December of 2021. And I wrote it in May of 2020, I think, actually.
Wow.
Maybe 2020. Publishing a book with a traditional publisher is a long process, longer than I thought. And so I wrote the book, and then it goes through their team, and their team takes like 8 months to edit it and send it through legal and all that kind of stuff. So it actually took a while, but December 28th of 2021 is when the book was brought to the world. And it was a very exciting, awesome process.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you, Maggie, so much for coming on the Daily Ledger podcast. I appreciate everything that you talked about. I would say my biggest takeaway from it is make a decision. Just decide something. The indecisiveness is going to cause you to freeze and take longer than it really needs to. And I appreciate what you're saying about that. Congratulations on all your success too. It's amazing to see what you're doing, and you do make it look effortless. I'll give you props. You really do. And obviously you're extremely hardworking, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. And for anyone listening, if you like this podcast, go ahead and write a review and give us a nice review there. We'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Maggie. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, and I think that's an amazing takeaway for all.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm excited for it to come out. I love the graphic that you guys sent our way, so we'll definitely share it.
Yes. Yeah. We're trying to provide some additional promotion for all of our guests as well. So,
Cool.
go ahead and post this. Can she post that now, I guess, saying that it's coming out, and this is going to come out when? Next week. So
Cool. Well, I'm excited, JD. I hope that you have
Yeah.
the best day, and definitely keep in touch. We'll have to get together again soon sometime.
all right. Excellent. Thanks, Maggie.
All right.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.